Good day, my name is Liam Maflati and I authored the book Growing South African Trees as Bonsai. I thought to do a video that featured some of the interesting species that the book deals with. In today's episode I thought to feature a very exciting species, the Nuxia congesta, common names being the common wild alder or the brittlewood. I thought to feature this tree because it's fairly unseen and not very common, but also I thought a very rare gem. What makes them rare is that they're quite difficult to obtain. Nurseries don't normally stock them. Specialist indigenous nurseries might stock them. They're fairly difficult to propagate. They can easily be propagated by seeds, but you're going to have to get those seeds. And they're not too easily propagated by cuttings, although cuttings are possible. So there's a slight irony in its common name being the common wild alder, when the Nuxia floribunda, or the forest alder, is far more available. We are trying, me and some other growers are trying the forest alder as a bonsai, but it's not as successful, largely due to its leaf reduction and sort of ramification growth. However, the roots and the bark and the wood are very similar. I feel that if you had to defoliate both the trees and try compare them, it would be very difficult to tell them apart. But it's the Nuxia congesta's foliage and leaves that make it a very special bonsai. The pros with the Nuxia congesta is that they're incredibly fast growing. I mean, today's date is the 25th of June, and my one is actually still actively growing, which is like kind of beginning to midwinter. It is their growth type. The botanical name congesta, it really describes the type of growth that the tree has, which is very lending for refined bonsai. The leaf reduction is significant. I mean, if we take from an adult tree to the size of the leaves that one can achieve, it is significant. The leaves could almost be the size of a fingernail, and compared to the tree when it's fully grown in the wild, it's a very significant leaf reduction. It develops a very aged bark even from a very young age, so almost this papery peeling bark, much like what you might see on an old wood or an ohot or on a juniper, and it makes the species very appealing. It's evergreen. And they're incredibly strong trees. They have ability to bounce back. You should never give up on them. A seemingly dead tree will actually surprise you with new growth. My tree went through what I called the Great Drought. The Great Drought happened when I was away for work, and I was away for a week or two, and they didn't quite get, all of my trees didn't quite get enough water, and this tree here actually lost all of its foliage completely. I was able to save it. I tried the plastic bag route, which almost creates like a little greenhouse effect, and it bounced back. It actually came back. I lost a lot of ramification, which I've had to. Well, I am still in the process of redeveloping here. But it just goes to show that a seemingly dead tree will favor you with new shoots, especially sucker growth from towards the bottom of the tree by the roots. The type of ramification, one can create incredibly tight foliage pads of very fine growth and very small leaves, and they very often have pleasing surface roots. The example in the book is a tree grown by Louis van der Walt, who he was a specialist and an inspiration for indigenous bonsai, and he grew his from nursery stock, and it's been in training for 7 years now. And what Louis did was he grew it in a training pot, probably about the size of a pedal bin, for several years and just allowed the trunk to thicken by allowing the tree just to grow upwards. And then performed one trunk chop and then developed a leader from there. After developing the leader, he actually created the tree shape and composition purely by the clip and grow method. And that's a significant method for the tree because they don't call this tree the brittle wood for nothing. The twigs are incredibly brittle, and even with very small bends, they can break and they can certainly crack. In any wiring exercise, you are sure to crack twigs or branches, but you sometimes can get lucky and not lose a branch. So the clip and grow technique is very favored for this species, especially because you will quite often get 3 or 4 branches emerging from the same point. In my book, the leaf illustrations, the artist that I commissioned, I actually asked her to capture in her leaf illustration sort of 3 leaves growing from one point, because a lot of the ramification that you do create with the tree is going to be that very congested growth because of 3 or 4 branches coming from one point. But in the structure and the composition of your tree, you're going to have to pay attention to that, because another favored habit of this tree, or unfavored habit of the tree in actual fact, is reverse taper. You very, very often see examples of young trees with reverse taper, including mine. They often shoot from the same point on the trunk or on major branches, and that continuous budding from the same point can cause reverse taper. Also, where a very big branch emerges around that branch, albeit just 2 branches or 1 branch emerging from the trunk or from a primary branch, can also cause reverse taper as well. In 2023, a Pretoria Bonsai Club member exhibited one of these trees, and we interviewed him, and this is what he had to say.
Good day, my name is Cobus Erwe. I'm going to speak to you guys about the Nuxia congesta. It's called the common elder, also known as the brittle wood, and in Afrikaans it's the gewone vlier. Now this is an indigenous tree, and it's one of my favorite trees to work on. Because it's very forgiving. If you mess it up, within a couple of weeks you can replace the branches that you messed up. I bought this tree in 2018 from a nursery that specializes on indigenous trees. It's unfortunate that we only have a couple of nurseries that supply indigenous trees. I think if there's someone out there that can get more indigenous trees, especially here in the Pretoria area, it would be great. Now, I bought this tree in 2018. This is the first time I've potted it. It's also my first time that I've showed a tree at the Bonsai Expo, so I was quite nervous to bring it, to be honest. Now, in 2018 I bought this tree in a nursery. It was in a big bag like this. I left it there in 2018. I did my first trunk chop in 2018 of this tree. I bought it because of, if you look at the Nubari here, it's quite nice. That's why I bought the tree. But this thing was as straight as a pole. So I trunk chopped it the first time in 2018. Then in 2019 I trunk chopped it again. When I did that trunk chop, I potted it in a large growing pot. And ever since then, in 2020, I also trunk chopped it the third time to get the taper. Now, what this tree does, it tries to grow as straight as a pole. So there's a lot of wiring that must go in here if you want to give it movement. It's not necessary to do it. I just did it just to get a bit of movement in this tree. But as I said, it's a lovely tree, and I would encourage people to try and grow this tree and make it a bonsai.
After saving my tree from the great drought, I slip potted it into this much larger pot in order to give it a better fighting chance. The pot that it was in was actually a show or exhibition pot, which was significantly smaller than that. And the tree was actually very, very close to being show ready. And from losing almost the entire crown and canopy, I've been able to develop what you can see here in just one growing season. So that will illustrate the very quick results that you can get from this tree. They are significantly pest free. Besides perhaps the occasional aphid that you might get on the tree, they are notably pest and disease free. I think that given that the plant is quite rare, you can still obtain it. And should you get the opportunity to obtain one, you should not hesitate and get it. These are very, very rewarding trees as bonsai. I have seen them around, available in Johannesburg and Pretoria, and as well as in the Western Cape. And I think that would also prove that the species is quite versatile to be grown in several different climates. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. And should you have any comments, I would love to hear from you. You can email me or you can comment on this video. And should you have a Nuxia yourself, I would love to see it. And if you would like to send a photograph of it to me, to my email, that would be great. And if you have any other observations or other things that you would like to add, I would love to hear from you. Thank you very much.